smoke of the week there with Wilson Burrow and even one of our panelists making it to one of the clips. Benji.
Doing what?
We saw you in that clip.
No.
Yes. Were you among them? Anyway, let's go back to that conversation that began
Senator Mutula.
yesterday. Bottom line, and it's all about trying to understand the war against terror and what everybody can play a role in. Being part of that, and you heard what some of those people had to say, those affected by the various attacks, whether it be blast or shootouts. What do you make of where we are at now and the kind of tolerance even we have amongst the different players in this?
For those of us who have leadership, particularly in Mombasa and part of the coast region, it makes it particularly difficult for us when you know for a fact every day there's a possibility of a bomb going off. The religious harmony has been challenged to the very core coexistence. There are areas of security interventions that are in excess of the law, women being humiliated, kids being suffering the brunt of security agencies, and yet you find yourself literally helpless. Because first and foremost, you don't have the means, because as a government, you're limited to the fact that national security is the function of the national government. And I think the last week or two has produced a ray of hope. We said we will not engage in plebiscites and constant media charades with anybody. And it maybe for some coincidental reasons, there was a flight of tourists, and therefore the red flag was hoisted. And I think that gave us an opportunity for the meeting of minds, particularly of the coast governors, a couple of senators, to come together and really bear on the national government that you are messing up our counties. You need to take your responsibility seriously, and we need to partner. That's why you're hearing now these new alternatives that we will be setting up committees where counties can participate. We told them at the very onset that the preserve of national security cannot be the preserve of the national government as a standalone. They need to have some interface with the county governments. So I think last week our 6 coast governors did have a meeting with the president to discuss broadly matters tourism, matters terrorism, matters security. And what we intend to do as coast leaders, particularly at the county levels, is to develop a security strategy for each county that interfaces with the national government, and in addition to that, then have a regional strategy that interfaces with the national strategy, so that at every point there is some kind of joint interventions, joint actions, including the construction of metropolitan police forces, particularly for the counties of Kisumu, Nairobi, and Mombasa. So therefore, we are trying to move proactively now. We want some leverage of county governors and governments to be involved in crafting security interventions and consultations to go on, so that we can avert this possibility in its long term. Because I think we have been severely challenged as a nation, we have been challenged as a leadership, and I think it requires our best effort and our best brains to manage the country's security as it is right now. Unfortunately, Olelenku does not have the counter narrative, neither does Iringo. The government, in my assessment, appears clueless. It had to take the flight of tourism and say they will replace Mzungu with Chinese, as if the Chinese does not care about his security and he's willing to take the bomb on our behalf. So I think it's fallacious. I think we've engaged in too much charade, and it's time now we settle down and be able to have a strategy and an intervention. But in the meantime, we need as leaders to continue to preach peace, to have the interventions where necessary, to have what is called reactive security, to ensure that we strengthen our intelligence, we strengthen our capacity, to provide physical security. So I think it's a very broad-based program that I think will require an intervention. And finally, even the Court Coalition, now I have to say this because we have mooted the idea, what is the role of the opposition in the country's management of security? Because oftentimes we find ourselves screaming from the rooftops. And therefore it is important to know how can we use the broad frameworks, our county governments, our National Assembly, our Senate, and other areas of intervention. So I think I told you earlier, and I think we're almost sharpening it up, that we will also have a security strategy or plan that is unique to the opposition in terms of how opposition or the people who are in the minority is able to bear on government to refine its security. And the Senate has taken lead on that. We are producing what is called a broad security strategy. And sooner than later, our Committee on Security will also present something to that effect, together with the coalition's input in terms of what the coalition needs to do to ensure that national security is not compromised.
Benji, because what we've had call for is a cleanup or a change in terms of the leadership in the security. Is that what Kenya needs right now? Change in the leadership because confidence is lacking and perhaps they have failed, as has been alleged?
The threat of terror is real, not only in Kenya but around the world. Certainly terror is a big problem. But if you ask me, terror, the worst terror that we have in Kenya is not just the threat of Al-Shabaab, but it is the terror of the raiding, for example, of public coffers, which impoverishes a country, which diverts resources, which loots taxpayer money meant to strengthen these security agencies, meant to buy them equipment, meant to train. And so, to me, all these issues are intertwined. Anglo-leasing, poverty, young people being lured into these, terror cells, the growth and expansion and spread of Al-Shabaab. All these things are intertwined. Do we have absolutely the competency that we need in the Interior Ministry? I think the answer is clear to everybody, and that answer is no. I did have a long conversation with Chairman Kavulidi last week on certain things that need to happen and certain concerns that civil society has on the waning of the pace of reforms. I still think he's the right guy. I think he's really trying. But there really needs to be a shaking up. And that is really the onus for that is on His Excellency the President, because he's the only one that can shift people around, etc. But then again, under the Constitution 2010, with contracts and what have you, unfortunately, you cannot just willy-nilly, move people like the IG around because they're on contract. Because I know that's what a lot of the pressure has been, is to reassign, perhaps bring in new people, etc. But that's not as easy anymore because of the contracts that these guys are on. So, and that was for good reason, to allow or to disallow the wanton, manipulation from the top. The only problem, though, is that a lot of these new figures against Sophia don't seem to realize the independence of their offices. And I'd maybe like to use this platform to remind people like the Inspector General that his position is very constitutionally independent, and he doesn't have to really be in many ways under OP and whatnot. I think the only problem is that there has not been a delineation of the funding in the budget for his office outside of the votes provided for by former Interior PS Kimemia and now Mutai Ringo. So you find that a lot of the disillusionment is coming from the fact that the IG spends a lot of time, with the political structure, and that is not as it should be.
Right. Wada.
Yes, thank you so much. I feel very grateful that about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, we were here on the same question of security, and some people were up in arms when they were the aliens were being fished out, obviously, and all over the country. You can see that part of that action is paying back. And terrorism, the other day China was hit badly, and they are not in Somalia. The second thing is that I see Kenyans have gone beyond the fear. They are no longer fearing, they are willing to live by it, and they are willing to move forward.
There's a lot of fear.
What I'm saying, therefore, is that it's not a question of removal Elenku or remove who, remove who. The security process is a whole process that requires certain measures to be taken. These measures are being taken, and as you can see, we will be able to deal with the problem of terrorism effectively. But as if you've been to Israel, it's a daily occurrence. You can wake up in the morning very nicely. By 10 o'clock, people are in the bunker. So terrorists are terrorists, but blaming each other, doing this and that will not bring a solution. Security is for us all as Kenyans. The Senate, whether they are CORD or Jubilee, it is for us Kenyans, because when Kenya bans, it is for all of us.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me just, I always have to challenge the notion of governance. The principal responsibility. This is the way the Jubilee coalition tries to pass its back. If CORD was in power today, we will blame Raila Odinga for it and Kalonzo Musyoka. Because if you look at the arrangement of the Constitution, they have a certain responsibility. For us, we are facilitators. That's why it has gotten to that point where now the coalition for reforms and democracy has to craft an alternative agenda because of the obvious failings.
So in your mind, the government has completely failed in security?
I think, I don't see, where does the session, we're now seeing the fruits. In fact, once we started the operations, the travel alerts went high. They were rampant, grenade and other forms of attacks. There was tourist flight. We've lost hundreds of millions of dollars in the last couple of, hundreds of millions of shillings in the last couple of days. Tourist cancellations. I think when you look at the strategy, it must be holistic. It must be comprehensive. I don't think anybody will now stop going to China because the bomb went off. So whenever you have a strategy, you need to know how to isolate the strategy from in terms of how it does not prejudice other sectors of the economy and other sectors of life and government. So I think what I think our assessment will be, that I think apart from, Honorable Kenyatta was brought up in a good family. He talks good English. Apart from the Obama type of, rhetoric, we are bloodied and beaten and what, and we are not fallen and we are up. And apart from that, as he speaks, the next day something else happens. As he speaks, the next day something else happens. So it must go out of rhetoric. And let's see, everybody challenges them on one thing. The confusion is manifest. Everybody challenges them. What is your strategy? What is your plan? People have fought terrorism in the past. They have fought by challenging the narrative. They have fought an idea with an idea. They have given a counter-narrative. So I think that was the discussion we're trying to have in Mombasa. How I saw the people who were victims are so willing to forgive. And in fact, it is the victims' hardest hit that are saying government must end the bombing. The victims of the Likoni attack were saying, for heaven's sake, these deaths and retaliations is affecting the innocent. So therefore, she knew that it was the government to stop these attacks. So therefore, I think what we need to do is have a broader plan, and I think with all these plebiscites, now these comments coming from Olelenko that we are going to form joint committees with governors, we're going to effect the county policing authorities, is acknowledgement that security cannot be the preserve of 1, 2, 3, 4 people who think they can manage it through some kind of discrete means. It's an avenue for public participation. So now they have acknowledged and they are opening up, they're amending the laws, they're going to facilitate committees so that they can be greater input. And I say it, there is a shift in paradigm. Initially, our democracy was securitized. We were told, to keep democracy, we need to have security, so therefore there were limits. But right now, security is being democratized. In other words, you allow citizen participation in security.
I think just on the question of advisories by the British government, you saw the High Commissioner actually saying the official position is that they were not aware of those advisories. And therefore, those who decided to leave, they leave. And I thought the president laid on the table a comprehensive way of dealing with the gaps that are left by those who have left. But if you see the attacks now, they are not carefully planned long-term attacks. They are grenades thrown by cowards running here and there. Okay? Because some of these people who came in, the ones we were trying to flush out and the senator was trying to defend very vehemently, came in with some of these grenades. We are still mopping them. The government is still mopping them. And the process of mopping them requires all Kenyans. It doesn't require rhetoric or like reading a poem or doing what or good English. And security is also not a question of political rally where you stand and then you say we want to do this, and the security is intricate. And as you can see, as Kenyans can see, progress is being made. And we are praying very hard to succeed, and we are going to succeed.
I was defending the Constitution and the law. that we have faithfully discharged ourselves to protect, and the citizens who elected us.
Right.
You do not engage them in mass victimization and expect us to keep quiet just because there is a compelling, even in terms of handling of foreigners. We are part and parcel of many of the refugee conventions which we have domesticated. And unfortunately, a lawyer, when you argue like a pedestrian, you know, you really put into question your fidelity to the law. Every senior practitioner in the realm of law and human rights, locally and internationally, felt that international standards needed to be observed. People raised caution privately to the presidency and the country, and also publicly through those who can be able to comment on matters more authoritatively. But I think...
why are you so defensive of these foreign Somalis, foreign Oromo people, the ones who are coming to harass us? Where is the problem?
Anybody who is innocent. The global community of human rights believes in that global family. You attack,
have a relationship with this Al-Shabaab?
You attack crime.
Yes.
You attack crime. Let me just...
Gentlemen,
you attack crime for what
that
it
is a conversation
out of control.
that will be
not getting out of
continuing.
control. It's just that sometimes you need to make statements
That's
that people out there who are watching you will say that is reasonable.
That will continue tonight on KTN.
Yes.
You will be flying back to be part of the panel there, so don't miss it. KTN Bottom Line, putting into perspective the issues at hand and all the players and stakeholders involved, what can be done going forward. KTN setting the pace there with that conversation, which you can continually be part of. The hashtag is KTN Bottom Line. Your views, of course, will be read by our team and colleagues down at the coast later on in the day. But gentlemen, to move the conversation forward, in other stories that have been big in the past week, impeachment continues to be the word that we keep seeing, thrown out there. We're having one now on the president, a proposal to impeach President Uhuru Kenyatta. Benji, I'll begin with you. Do you think that would ever fly? Kithure Kindiki says you don't have simply the numbers to do it.
Maybe as a background to discussing impeachment of the president, why don't I go to the Ann Waiguru issue and then build up into this latest attempt? Because Ann Waiguru is under impeachment as well.
Not yet.
And she's fighting, impeachment threat, and she's fighting back against that. By virtue of my work, I interact a lot with government agencies. I was actually at OP briefly on Friday. And it's important for us to get details so that we do justice to analysis, not just by giving Kenyans that watch this program just what we might read on newspapers as if they couldn't read newspapers as well. I have publicly been on the record defending Anne as a hard-working Kenyan. She has a big ministry, she has a big docket. It is a condensation of 7 ministries, including planning, including youth, including devolution. And she's done a good job. What she hasn't done well, from what I hear, is Kenyan leaders need to realize that power is about humility. Power is not about being haughty. It's not about being bitchy. It's not about being arrogant. It's not about being ridiculous. It's not about being cantankerous. And the worst part about this particular event is now you've had formations and what you call the rent-a-crowd types running all over the streets, screaming at the top of their voices, defending her. And this is not an emergence of this kind of thing, but it's a perfection of playing the ethnic card, of playing the gender card. Because women are not under attack. Ann Waiguru, for her conduct, is under attack. And smart, that is very important for us in the media to help to crystallize issues, because one of the things I said when I first was interviewed by Jeff Koinange is that the balkanization that is possible when you divide people across the lines of youth, women, old, etc. And what it does, it gives a ticket for somebody that is a drug dealer, somebody that is a conman, somebody that is a thief, to go to the electorate and say, look, you cannot touch me, you cannot audit me, I am a youth. You cannot touch me, I am a woman.
But to be fair to her, she hasn't used that card. She hasn't used that card. It's other people.
Well, that's exactly what they have.
Yeah, but she hasn't used it.
Mheshimiwa Priscilla, well, she's used people to defend her in that way. Priscilla Nyokabi, Member of Parliament Nyeri, Yesterday was talking about women being under attack. There was on Friday a civil society forum, constitutional forum, to defend her as women.
She hosted female MPs on Thursday.
But that's what I'm saying. It is disingenuous, it is wrong, it is deceptive, and we are not going to move this country forward if we are unable to tackle issues on their own merits by simply always hiding, using partial intellectual arguments to protect wrongdoers. It is wrong now, it is wrong yesterday, it is wrong tomorrow. This is the language of Timama in the 1980s. It cannot be
Senator.
the way forward.
For me, I think I will not want to delve too much into that Guru issue. I think it's an intra-Jubilee affair. They are fighting exclusion and all those types of, isms like tribalism, exclusionism. When you fight, you see a fight against the standard gauge railway. It's not a fight for good governance or good government. It's about exclusion from that corruption, the cut. So I think we don't want to. But any court legislator is at will, to apply his discretion on this matter. I think court has not taken a position, and I don't think we will. But that said and done, it's up to the discretions of the various persons, and I've had the robust debate about what position court should take. Court's position is about good government. Good government epitomized at the highest level. People think that impeachment processes are just about numbers and success. It's about creating the moral capital, that there is a constitutional issue or a constitutional dimension to a certain matter. And therefore, what we want to start doing is to start listing these charges of serious violations. You have to realize that, for instance, at the very onset even of devolution itself, Uhuru violated the Constitution without the input of the Senate and the Division of Revenue. And the Supreme Court has said as much. There are many other things he's need to turn around on the basis of the constitutionality or otherwise of some of those issues. So what we need to start doing is to start to list the excesses and the transgressions in law, so that even today you have the tyranny today of numbers. You think you can abuse public office, but there's always a tomorrow. And I think these are things that will continue also to be mitigated in the People's Court. If you look at the most recent surveys, and there are declining levels of confidence in the Jubilee coalition. It's literally hanging onto its ethnic and regional cadre of votes. So the majority, 38% confidence slip from the previous 66, 68% at the very onset. That's fundamentally, a dip. So I think particularly in the first year of any presidency. So I think what we are doing is to set the constitutional grounds that we want good government. So it's not about numbers. We tyrannically.
That in fact, Bill Clinton, when he was being impeached, had 68% approval ratings.
Absolutely, and Kindiki is taking it for granted. There are too many disgruntled Jubilee people who wished, and I know them, who wished they never voted for Jubilee, particularly the larger, minority Muslim groups, because that 6,000, 8,000 vote difference was one which now people live in regrets. Maybe our people would not have been far worse had we not, voted for this president. So I think this is a country where we took 50+1. We have made it so important that one vote, one Kenyan you transgress, can then express himself or herself later on through popular subject.
Before we want to listen to a clip by the Deputy President, defending Waiguru. It has all been about who's for or against Waiguru over her woes. We have that clip, let's roll it, and then we'll come and continue the conversation here in studio.
I don't know.
Watu wengine ni wako na sura ya viongozi lakini ni mabroka. Walitusumbua wakati ya railway, wakatupigia makelele siku ya reli, wakati wamenunuliwa na mabroka wengine.
Akiambiwa kuna hoja kali bungeni, huyo mtu anaitwa Alfred Keter ni bubu, anaingia choo anajificha. Ikifika Friday anakodishiwa ndege. Hata leo ule mtu alimkodisha ndege, sisi tunajua hana senti. Sasa mjiulize, hiyo ndege nani amekodisha? Alipewa project ya uongo ya railway ikazama.
And I want to ask the Deputy President, because the buck stops at him, he needs to stand firm and understand that the Kalenjin community, the Nandi community, are complaining because their son who has worked hard over 30 years to build a career cannot be spoiled by just a lady by the name Waiguru in one day, then the next minute we have a Githinji in the name of restructuring.
Sasa wametoka hiyo reli, wamekuja ingine hapa ya transfer. Sasa mimi nauliza nyinyi, mtu akiambiwa toka hapa uendelee na kazi ya serikali mahali pale iko makosa gani? Sasa inakuwa mjadala ya dunia hii yote. Hiyo maneno watu waache. Kila mtu afanye kazi yake.
Walianzia na Magut, Kanal Magut akiwa kule army. Wakafuata na Tuimur akiwa kule polisi. Wakafuata Sholei kule judiciary. Wakatoa Chepsongol, Ambassador Chepsongol kutoka special programs. Sasa wamefika kwa Rugut. Nataka niwaeleze wameharibia Mheshimiwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta. Na tumesema tutauliza naibu wa rais mwenyewe, Deputy President, atoke atuambie ni nini inaendelea kwa hii serikali.
Mimi ninaweza kujizungumzia mwenyewe. Those who talk to us from morning up to evening about their community and their religion and their region should give us a break.
All right, there you have it, defending Waiguru and accusing Waiguru at the same time. Your thoughts?
Let me start with Waiguru first. I think Waiguru has done a good job in terms of working compared to other cabinet secretaries. In fact, I remember in this same program, we mentioned her, we mentioned the minister, the CS for transport. But her rise and success
will be her downfall.
Maybe be part of the problem. It sometimes makes you feel like you are a small god, with a lot of power, oblivious of those who are jealous, those who are unhappy, and it goes away with a person's ability to remember the public. So Waiguru, Lady Waiguru has found herself where the core jubility, when you see Linturi, you actually talk about TNA Ndani. Now the core TNA seems to have a problem with her, and a problem with the way she does things. Now, so she has attracted this, especially when it turned out it was alleged that Rugut, was it Rugut or who?
Rugut, yes.
Rugut was transferred by way of SMS. You know the way we have insulted each other through the SMS. We have done very many bad things to each other through SMS. So that when you hear that an official communication has come through SMS, everybody sympathizes with it. They're like, wow, how could that happen?
Contemptuous.
Oh God. So looking at the very successful minister and the rumor that she is also very powerful.
It's a rumor.
Yeah, you can see there's a rumor she is very powerful. Her action, she's also very powerful. So power in this country reminds us of the likes of the Ward, the likes of Kemunya, the likes of Murungaru, and every day you accumulate enemies.
Yeah.
I think, therefore, that this motion, although this motion will be defeated for various reasons, one of it, we can't allow a TNA minister just to be sunk like that, to sell a dangerous president. There are several reasons, but this should give her a chance to reflect inwardly so that she changes her peer, her advisors. Now, coming to the president, this impeachment wave that started in Embu, I have told my Jubilee colleagues, I told them then, I'm telling them, when it started in Embu, and they started it, and they supported it, they are not able to see that the impeachment wave will end right at State House.
They say revolution eats its own.
Yes. And I told them, look, if the governor has done one or two things, you people, let's do it in-house. Because it sets the trend, and the trend continues. Now you can see all governors are sitting on the edge. Now, you can see if Senator Omar here wants a ticket from Mombasa County, the governor will run with it to the airport because he knows now. Now, this way, the governors have already been subdued and they know the bosses are the MCs. I can see the MPs, the senators and the MPs coalescing. You see, when Linturi says, I will impeach Waiguru, Linturi knows exactly what is the chord is hitting. He knows it. Not that he doesn't know it. This thing will eventually end. Now, even if the president was not removed today because of the tyranny of numbers, the damage is done. Just like for Waiguru, you can see, whenever her career grows, whenever she does something good, you will always be saying, she has done this good. The other day she was supposed to be in PE, she was almost. The damage is done. So I am saying that those of us on the Jubilee side, let us reduce the, what do I call it?
The excitement on impeachment.
The bravado. Every time they say something, you say, hey, we have the tyranny of numbers. We need to use the tyranny of numbers when the time comes. But let us, I saw Kindiki showing a bit of bravado. You make more enemies. You make people like Senator Omar here more resolved. They now think we must try it. Sometimes you come down and you tell them, look, a few mistakes have been done. Kenyans are not happy. The cost of living has gone a bit up. Security has not been very good, but it has not come to where we talk about impeachment. It disrupts the nation. It disrupts the programs. And but the bravado is a problem.
I must say very importantly, the narrative before a senator comes in, the narrative on this particular Waiguru thing, again, just to draw the links, is that when you hear this chorus and refrain about her arrogance, the narrative, as I have gotten it from several interviews last week, Smart, is that basically, you know, when you have the blessings of the king, the subjects have to lie on their stomach when they address you. And so for her, again, being a lady, you know, there's really, as Wakili is saying, there's an accumulation of enemies, the people that are feeling very resentful.
A lady or not. I mean, Murungaru and crew were, you know, the same. They had the blessings of the king.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. So the point I was coming to is that for Anne, why this is a particular liability is, as per protocol, you do not embarrass your boss or you do not distract from the agenda of the president. No. This is the problem with these kinds of things, is that this whole firestorm and debate not only has shaken the coalition or has created cracks that could even be utilized in the future, but it also takes away from the good work that the government would be trying to do, and you also really you expose your boss in more ways than one.
Senator, a minute before I take a break.
I mean, I think let's, if we are to proceed with this impeachment debate, let us be on the performance, let us be on the violation of the constitutions of the law. I think these super allegations about arrogance of, I've never had a single positive you know, remark about anybody who wields a certain position of power. You go one day, maybe the guy is in his or her bad moods, and it tells you, well, you so suddenly fireball that into the person's arrogance or something of that nature. I think matters that are mute, matters that are subjective, are not necessarily grounds for impeachment. Definitely, as public servants, we need to live with people well. You need to sometimes know that, I know that when I step out of home, I pray to God, and I know that I have to be alert no matter what it takes. So I'm alert the whole day. You know, it's until the time I go back into the house and go to sleep, you are totally alert, because you know that sometimes you can make a goof and it can be misinterpreted. So I think all these other professionals who join the political world have to learn how to balance these intricate relationships across the spectrum.
Indeed, and we're going to come back. Just throw it out there. The Interior Minister for Somali resigned over insecurity in his country. A country with a transitional government, that is.
We're at the point now where we're learning from countries like Somalia.
Take a short break. Think about that. We'll come back.
Saves you time and money. Happy is coming to your city next.
Tunataka funga bao In a football match, there is great expectation, tension, and celebration. Now SportPesa gives you more ways than ever to play and win with the best. Choose your game, choose the winner, and decide how much you wish to win. Tazama, on this game, with 300 shillings, you win 5 times more and pocket 1,500 shillings. Why wait longer? Register now by sending GAME to 79079. SportPesa, your passion for football pays.
As babies explore their new world, they crawl and often pick items and put them in their mouth. So it's important to use a trusted disinfectant such as Dettol antiseptic liquid to clean their toys and floors, as it kills harmful unseen germs that may cause illness. That's why families that use Dettol fall ill less often. 7 out of 10 moms who use antiseptic use Dettol to keep their families healthy and germ-free. You should too. Be a Dettol mom. Dettol, in partnership with the Kenyan Medical Association. Dettol, maximum protection against germs every day.
Sell more than you think with OLX. You'll be amazed at how many things you can sell to raise quick extra cash using the OLX app on your phone. From shoes to shirts, books to blouses, mobiles to tablets, to toasters to TVs. Nothing turns your items into some quick extra cash faster than OLX.
Sell it.
Okay.
Everything sells.
This June, come home to the best. An all-new primetime on KTN, Monday and Tuesday.
I'm here to help.
Steve Harvey, Wednesday.
Let me slip down.
My Dream Wedding, Thursday. Ultimate Challenge Weight Loss Edition, Friday. Ever thought of you taking someone else's role for a day? The Swap, Saturday.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
Are you my type? Sunday.
It remains that you need to give us 5 lyrics.
Jaza Mistari. Now that's prime time. Only on KTN. This May, the story of love eternal returns.
You favor this!
My Eternal.
I love you so much.
Every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. after Tendereza. Only on KTN.
Welcome back to Morning Express. It's Monday, the way it is, with our panelists. And gentlemen, the former Prime Minister, Quad leader, is expected into the country Saturday. There's been rallies to drum up support and prepare for the big arrival. You'll be...
including the...
I'm not only going to... I'm a member
the Nairobi governor has been practicing...
Even the Nairobi governor is in the rallies.
I'm a member of that team that is preparing for his arrival.
Comeback.
His arrival. If you
his
want
second
a card,
return.
I will give you a back row. Because we do not want... What happens is... in fact, we're having a meeting today to finalize the arrangements. From here, I go to that meeting and go back to Mombasa. But the truth is... I think it's one of the reasons that motivates us to do what we've done is the Prime Minister has not had a break in a long time. He has been from one electoral theft to another electoral fraud. He's, he
has to get out of the country.
So he has had a good time to detox the Kenyan politics. He has
Hungarian theft.
So I think what happened is we also need to encourage him as a country. We need to encourage him as a country. We need to encourage him as people who who believe he's made the necessary sacrifices for this country, the symbolism he represents in terms of Kenya's transformation. Whether we like it or not, he's a leader of, as Weda likes to say, CORD is almost half of the country, or it's half-half. So he's a leader of 50% of this country. 46 in terms of the little fraud.
What is getting away from
so that's said and done. I think 46, whatever the case may be, but if it was 10%, it will be an enormous amount of Kenyans. Okay. So I think, and all of you in the public, in the media out there, everybody's asking me, can we see him? Can we meet him? Can we speak to him? So I think what we're doing is simply to give him his due accolade as a person who's stood for this country. He's been out for some time. He's not had a break since the March 4th. And I think coming back, we just want him to be energized that we still tuko na tumeendelea na kazi kabisa. I mean, you know, one rally, we did one rally in Kibra. And I didn't realize that in one rally, people can get so rattled, you know. It means that there's something you're doing very, very wrong. I get criticisms every day. It doesn't hardly bother me, because I know when you stand on credibility, when you stand on solid, you know, constitutionalism and the interest of the people, there's nothing to fear about.
As the political landscape currently stands, what do you think his return will impact that? How?
Sophia, I guess, again, in the interest of, you know, authenticity, we're not going to come here and just do analysis based on things we read in the paper. So yesterday, I came from Machakos and I went to Babadogo. I went to the rally. Okay. Certain things jumped out at me. Number one, the poverty and desperation of the young people is real. To access into the grounds where this rally is was a big challenge, because there are a lot of youth, there are a lot of boys, they are high on stuff. They want money, they jump on your car, 20 of them, it's absolute chaos. And this really should be a big wake-up call to the leadership. We are really playing with fire. Too many of our young people are idle, desperate, unemployed, broke, unable to do business, etc. So that was really one of the painful things. Secondly, it was a pretty big rally, and a lot of things were said. The fact of the matter is that this country is very divided. This country is divided in a very scary way, because one of the biggest failings of Jubilee 1 year on, and perhaps I need to be fair and realize that maybe what I'm asking of them is maybe not even possible. The agenda to reharmonize and build a cohesive society is far from even being started. There's a constituency out there, I dare say it is at least 50% of this country that is absolutely anti-Jubilee, that is with the CORD leader. And you really wonder, and I think not to justify anything backward, but this is, I think, the context within which people like President Moi used to say that he doesn't think we're ready for democracy, that democracy can be destructive, democracy can be divisive. I absolutely did feel bad for the police officers yesterday as an observer, who had to sit there and listen to the things politicians were saying. And those police officers are non-partisan, and today they put security for CORD, and tomorrow they put security for Deputy President Ruto. I did feel something for them yesterday, because media shows a fraction, 0.5% of what he said at those rallies. Those rallies are something. Oh my God, this country is so divided. And let me just ask all leaders that we must be careful. We must avoid over-sensationalizing stuff. We must avoid excessive incitement. But again, the problem remains, Wakili, for Jubilee. The fact of the election is that people didn't feel that they lost fair and square. It's one thing to say, it's another to really believe in your heart of hearts that you don't lose.
Is it the wrong time in terms of this just the Jubilee is at its weakest, you know, at this particular point? Is it the wrong time?
No. Let me start from the beginning. First, these rallies, like the one you attended, I started attending them in 1992. They were as full as they are today. In fact, I attended Jaramogi Odinga's presidential launch, and I knew he was already in State House. When votes were counted, it was number 4, distant. Even Kibaki, who was regarded as Kagwaya, had given Jaramogi a range of almost 500,000 votes. So the rallies depend on, do you come from a community that are enthusiastic about attending rallies? CORD leads in that. So these rallies have been there.
Very derogatory.
I've been there and I've seen them. I saw them, that when Raila went to NDP, I was with him. We were in these rallies and they're there. So, and then the theatrics team, the games. I wish I would be there on Saturday. I will be away on motivational speaking in Tanzania. I would have gone to see, to welcome Baba back. Now, these rallies, to come to your question, as we talk in the last 2-3 weeks, we have been fairly weak. The other week, we were strong. You remember when we signed the contract for the mega railway? We were up. Then like life is, you up, down. The following week, Anglo-Lisi, down. Another 2 weeks, we'll be up. Just and then now you are concluding yours with the arrival of Baba. But what I can tell the CORD team, knowing Raila over the years, they realized that without Raila, they cannot call any meeting. They could not until Baba said he was coming. Now they say, okay, we call this rally, because they lack no clout. They have no clout. What I can say, which they don't see, Right Honorable Raila Odinga is building himself into a statesman. And they better see a great man leaving politics. You better start nurturing another leader. Remember when they were berating over Anglo-Lisi, making all sorts of noise. Baba came and said, some contracts are to be paid, some were okay, we know them, the ship is there, the monitoring equipment are there in Karen, go and see. And then all these people went down quiet. And a few other things. So one thing I can see, let him come back. We welcome him after a long rest. But let CORD prepare. Raila, as you can see his body language, he is retiring. And we are also asking President Uhuru, and we will be pushing in Jubilee, that he be given an international assignment, regional, international, so that he can leave these other guys to like the Haluales and the rest to make the noise they make, and then we build the country to the next level.
The good thing is, not to take any particular credit, but Mzee listens to some of us, and I think we will not allow him to be soiled by some kind of international diplomat of a government that is neither here nor there. It's reckless, it's rudderless, it's it's colorless. I think so. You do not become a statesman from being an ambassador at large for Jubilee. You become a statesman for being your own self. So that's the bottom line. But let me just tell you our strategy moving forward. It's not so that we could not call rallies. The media has different ways in which they cover Raila in comparative terms to any other politician. It's exciting, and you know it. We had rallies with Senator Tangola. We crisscrossed with the former vice president within the Wiper rallies. They hardly get the niche of coverage that you usually get when Raila's issues are probably on the table. That's a fair assessment. Yeah, we need to also be honest to ourselves. But
so it's the media's fault.
What is going to happen now? Let me. You asked about rearranging the political scenario. We are like, it's like a football game. We were on halftime when Raila was away. The first half was fairly, you asked many questions. We took a critique of ourselves. Yes, we did not perform as well as we should have. We did not regulate government or audit government as well as we should have. Like every other person, you come back with the new strategy, second half. So I can tell Jubilee, you can be so sure. For free, that this second half is going to be like a half like no other. We have better players. We've looked at ourselves, made a fair assessment. You were just now talking about your leader of opposition, your leader of minority, of majority, Kindiki. You talked about Murkomen. Those are about the players that you have. Every time you see the monotony of those two people speaking everywhere. But we have so many players. If Hassan Omar is in Lamu with Joho and other governor and Mrutu and Issa Timami, there are other players in Babadogo. In other words, we can play 3-4 teams at the same time of equal strength. So I think they can only play one team at a time, if at all. So I think what you need to realize right now, is to sit back, watch this half. I can tell you for a fact, it's going to be full of, action and activity.
Atletico versus Real Madrid.
And I think we are in this in the real sense of the word, we are Real Madrid. We are 1 goal down, 7 minutes to go.
But I thought Jubilee's one was down.
No, the opposition in the first half, the minority in the first half was put to task over
Senator,
its own performance.
watch we have to do that. I have about 3 minutes left, and literally 1 minute left. So literally I have to divide that into seconds, part of seconds. Sonko and Shebesh. The thoughts, and the issues. We have issues that are not anywhere near leadership, but they come through. And they dominate the headlights.
They are my personal friends, both of them, and one is a colleague, very close one in the Senate. I have no comments on their personal lives, but they should get whatever it is in the media, off the media.
10 seconds.
Love gone bad. I have communication here from...
Love gone bad is what
I have communication here from Edwin Koi, LLP, lawyers in London, to Muthoni Kimani, Senior Deputy General, Attorney General's Chambers, regarding Anglo leasing. This is a copy of a letter from 5th December 2013. In this letter, I'm not going to waste my time on Sonko. This is crucial stuff. In this letter, it says, I attach a copy of further letter I've received from Mills in relation to the hearing on 20th December. You have not replied to any of my recent letters in relation to this matter, and unless, therefore, I hear from you by close of business on Monday 9th, with instructions or confirmation that another firm has been instructed to represent the government in this matter, I will have no option but to make an application to the court to remove our firm from control. Needless to say, if the government is not represented on 20th December 2013, orders will be made in accordance with the claimant's applications, striking out the defense and entering judgment. So what I'm saying is that Attorney General Githu Muigai's office was negligent and complicit therefore in Anglo leasing, which is what the president said. Heads need to roll. This is very serious stuff and big loss of taxpayer money.
We must go.
Sonko and Shebesh.
Jubilee. It's a Jubilee problem.
Yes, as a Jubilee people and the Nairobi Senator, one thing I would love that they remember is that they wear 2 hats. Each of them wears 2 hats. You are a normal Kenyan human being who can dance and dance yourself lame and naked. That's granted. But you're also a leader. The part that we as Nairobians, as Kenyans, like to see is the leader part. Please give us the leadership part and keep the naked part under seal.
Well said. Great way to wrap it up today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, for joining us today on The Way It Is. Have a great week. Hope to see you again next week. James?
You too, Sophia.
Monday is a holiday. We'll come, huh?
It's a holiday. What holiday?
Yeah, Monday is Madaraka Day. I think we'll be off so until the other Monday.
It's what May Day. What is it?
Madaraka Sija.
Yes.
Hatuta Sija.
Madaraka Day.
Hata sija.
I need to go do something on Mombasa Road and then back to the airport.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Morning Express takes a short break and we come back again.
Your health. Fistula, we'll be talking about that. Great conversation. We'll open our phone lines to you. You can be part of it. Why are you looking at me like that, James?
I'm following the conversation
that I'm having with the viewers.
Yes.
Okay. Don't go away. We are coming back as he follows this conversation.
What am I, Billy?